Well, that was the Plesiosaurus species field guide, our second aquatic after the Mosasaurus, and if we're totally honest, not the most exciting field guide we've ever had, but still we're going to have a little look through and see if we can see anything that is a little bit more interesting. So we've got 3 separate clips to take a look at as per usual. In the first clip, it's really our best look at a sort of a nice, chill Plesiosaurus just swims past in front. I'm a Plesiosaur, not a Plesiosaur kind of guy, I don't know, it's up to you guys. Plesiosaurus. Anyways, swims past, nice up close look. In particular, the scaling on the flippers looks really good. It still has this kind of snake-like head. It looks very much like an anaconda from, say, Anaconda, but that will change later on into the video, which I actually really liked, as we'll see in just a moment. There's another Plesiosaurus in the background swimming around, but really there's not much else to say on this. This is a creature we've seen before, and we just get to see it slightly more up close. It's got a bit of counter shading going on. You can make out more of the, say, the musculature and that sort of subtle patterning going on, but really we don't see the proper patterning quite yet. I will say the face looks better from this angle than it did from the other. Clip 2, again, no new information per se, but it is a really interesting view as it slowly zooms out to reveal that we're actually underground, underwater, observing from our lagoon viewing area thingamajiggy. You saw in my gameplay clip that the viewing area can sit above ground and look over the water, just like the Mosasaurus paddock in Jurassic World, but it can also sink down, just like the Mosasaurus paddock in Jurassic World, and observe through like these windows into the water itself. And we have 5 Plesiosauruses here, and the thing I do really like about this, they look very sort of graceful and nice in their own way, but there's 5 of them. They're all on different levels, you know, they're not all floating around at the exact same place, they're all doing their own thing, they're kind of living their own dynamic individual lives, which is something we're pretty much expecting from Evolution 2 by this point, but it's nice to see it come to life again and again and again. The final clip is then by far the most interesting of the bunch. Interesting, by the way, that it still says alpha in-game footage, and the game's out in like 3.5 weeks. Anyways, we get up close and behind a Plesiosaurus, just where you want to be. Again, we can see that detail, the scaling on both the flippers, but also the slightly smaller scaling across the body. And this is really where that snake-esque ability disappears. The Plesiosaurus begins to approach the fish. These are free-floating fish. I had a thing in my gameplay I mentioned wherein when I first put the feeder down, loads of fish spurted out, an official term, into the water, but after that, whenever you click release fish, it releases an individual single fish doomed to be annihilated. That might make sense for the Plesiosaurus, it can handle 1 fish at a time realistically, but for a Mosasaurus I'm not so sure. But we see here the Plesiosaur begins to stretch open its more snake-like kind of thing. It looks like it's almost unhinging the jaw, so wide is its mouth as it makes the approach on this little on this fish that looks like a tuna to me. It's probably not, it's probably on the small side, but it's definitely styled very similar to a tuna. Anyway, the Plesiosaurus gets much quicker. You can see the water start to ripple and bubble up. The maw comes down over the top of the fish and then clamps down, and we don't actually get to see that play out because then we jump to the other side and see the Plesiosaurus very happy and satiated. And here it does still have a bit of that snake-esque look to it, but I think with the open mouth, that disappears a little bit. It looks less timid. I had a thing where I looked at the Plesiosaurus from the first gameplay session, I thought it just looks a little cute in a way, and I wanted it to be a little bit more intimidating, and I think when it opens its mouth it really achieves that. I also really like how the flippers all curved down in the same direction, but you can see the body tilting as it swims away, satiated and happy. It does have a really natural, really nicely done swimming movement and swimming animation. The face is still odd to me. I think it's the size of the scaling and the sort of the divides on the face that really makes it look like a snake more than anything else. I will say the eating animation looks a little weird, a little stiff perhaps. There's no quick clamping down of the jaws, there's no head movement, it kind of just went, you can't see what I'm doing, pretend you can see what I'm doing. It kind of reminded me of how a whale would eat, a whale with baleen, wherein it would just sort of swim forward and filter things in. And the Plesiosaurus kind of did the same thing, it just kind of swam forward with a massively open mouth until the fish fell into it, basically. I don't know, maybe a little bit stiff, but we'll have to see how that looks. Like it says, alpha in-game footage, who knows. Don't know if there'll be anything there, but let's go check out the forum post anyway and see if we can find out a little bit more information about our Plesiosaurus. So, as per usual, there's lots of information there if you want to go read it for yourselves about the Plesiosaurus, but if we just focus on the park stuff, When residing in your parks and facilities, your Plesiosauri, love that, will sustain themselves on fish from a fish feeder, which we've already seen. Like all other marine reptiles, Plesiosaurus will reside in a lagoon in your parks and facilities. That's what they think. They get along well living on their own, so they can be social need minimum 1, but won't mind having other members of their own species around, at least up until 5. Just keep them away from the Mosasaurus. Not only will it cause a lot of stress for your Plesiosaurus, the Mosasaurus may just end up eating the Plesiosaurus, as we again have seen in some gameplay footage in the past. That is about it, ladies and gentlemen. Really not one I can talk much about. I don't want to stretch this out unnecessarily, which I probably always do. Not on purpose, I just like to talk. But yeah, we're done. Plesiosaurus. A little disappointed, I'm not going to lie. We only have, say, 3 species field guides left to go after this one. Maybe 2, maybe 1, who knows. It would have been cool to see either something new in terms of the animations, show the Plesio getting eaten again, something like that, show it getting moved, just something a little bit more variety. And even better, a species we haven't seen yet, or maybe that mystery mosasaur that we don't know about yet, stuff like that. But, you know, they can't all be winners, and it was good to see the Plesiosaurus looking a little better. It looked better to me now than it did in the last gameplay session. My fears have been abated, at least a little bit. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'll see you lovely folks next time. Cheers much as always. Bye-bye.